ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another fantastic weekend of Formula 1 racing here on the EGL Extreme Gaming League. I'm Tipsy Bob, and joining me on the mic is my trusty sidekick and my good friend, Dad Bats. Covering all the action today, we're going to be covering everywhere from Monaco, Singapore, Abu Dhabi, and Bahrain, all across the world, all across the country. We have a full grid lined up, some of the best talent around the world. We have plucked them from all corners of the earth to give you some of the greatest racing experience viewing footage you'll ever see in your lifetime. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the EGL. There we go, once and all the cars are all lining up on the grid. They're all getting ready. The drivers will be focusing on their first corner. Are they going to take it? What are they going to do? Is they going to go deep? Are they going to go? Who knows? Let's take it out. Away we go! DRS is still active, and if Timo wants to get this moved on, he's gonna need to use this DRS zone because I have a feeling. Oh no, Timo comes under the pressure in this action zone. I tried to mount up another overtake on 1v3 trademark. This is round 3.
And Timo are oh, he hits that pit. Oh no! Oh my god, this so sorry, control myself. So Timo
I wouldn't be gonna penalty too, so they can stand at the back together again. Just like Timo likes it.
How many times? Did you see how many times Timo tried to get into the pit?
No Assist League! Hello and welcome everybody to another race of the No Assist League in SLR. Talking to you from the commentary booth today is only me, Eversnaxalotl. Yeah, apparently everybody jumped out of the window as soon as they heard I'm commentating. But we'll have some fun regardless. I'm sure it's going to be a good race. It's, for now, the season finale in the No Assist League. It's not quite confirmed yet, I believe. I think at the beginning of the season it was said that because they missed so many of the races by jumping in at the middle of the season, they might do some more races after this one. But we'll see if those are going to be official races or if we're going to see some other events possibly. I'm sure there's going to be some racing. But yeah, for now, the season finale, it's looking to be a very interesting race. We have some new challengers in here today. One of them is right here, Vans and the Haas. We're seeing the first laps coming. Lavifazola is the first one on track here, and he's going to settle up now for sure, unless he invalidated. And he doesn't invalidate. It's the first lap, and we're seeing a 108.3. Alright, that's a proper lap. Yeah, so a few more guys on hot laps. Van's one of those guys that just spontaneously jumped into the car. We're not seeing a very full grid today, possibly due to the high temperatures in Europe right now. I'm very happy to have a cold drink here. I hope you are hydrating as well during the race. Otherwise, it's going to be very exhausting for all of us. Oh, that's a bit of an excursion onto the grass. I gotta say, I've never actually commentated qualifying, but we're gonna see some action here anyway. And Vance is going towards the start-finish line, and we're seeing a 1:10.7. That's pretty good for someone who hasn't actually done any practice, I'd say. So yeah, proper lap there as well. We're also seeing Gary's. Gary's? I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah, we're seeing Gary's in the Ferrari leave the pits on the mediums. First driver so far trying the mediums. Everybody else has been on the softs. We're seeing Ocean Chief and Shaka and the Alfa Romeos also head towards the finish line and finishing their first lap. Flush River is a bit caught a bit there in the infield. Apparently had a spin, but he has set a lap already, so that's not going to matter too much. And it's a 108.8 from Shaka. His teammate Ocean Chief has invalidated the lap, but he's staying out. I don't know if he invalidated on the last corner or something, but he might be going for another lap now. We'll have to see. We do have Koyo on a very quick lap right now. Purple first sector. And he's heading through the middle section here. It's a very technical section on this track. So you have the last sector, which is pretty much just a straight, and you have the first sector, which is also just DRS straights pretty much, especially in qualifying when you always have the DRS enabled. But this middle section is very tough to get correct, and especially when you don't have the assists, it's pretty easy to spin in a few of these corners as well. And of course nobody has assists here, but some of these drivers aren't even used to driving with no assists. They're gonna have to get used to this track all over again. But we do have Coyote heading towards the finish line as well. It was looking like a pretty tidy lap, I'd say. And it's a 108.0, about 2/10 behind pole. Tipsy Bob right now on pole, the championship leader. And I believe he's got the championship wrapped up already. So congrats to Tipsy Bob, well done. Awesome race from you. Because his only possible challenger in this last race was Grenade Goran, who isn't racing today. Oh, everybody going off track. I believe they're just making space here for each other, but Lavi Fasole is on an out lap. Let's follow Gary's here, and it's a 110.7. I gotta admit, I wasn't really expecting a too fast lap on these mediums, but it might be that he's just taking a few laps to practice and then heading for a fast lap after that. I'm finding it very hard to catch the drivers who are on a hot lap right now. I believe, yeah, Lavi Fasole is going for his second hot lap in just a bit. And also we have... Alright, let's follow around Der Hammer, because I've heard that he's pretty competent. And, you know, driving in Tier 2 and everything, I guess. So we're expecting a pretty good lap time here, unless he decides to go out on the wets again. So let's check this out. Alright, let's see how he takes these lines. Wonderful through this first section. It's really easy to lose some time there if you don't get the exit right. Pretty good exit onto the straight, enabling the DRS right away. And it's not a purple first sector, so Tipsy Bob does definitely also have some pace there, sitting on pole. But yeah, Der Hammer definitely heading after him. We don't know their setups, of course. They're gonna make quite a difference here. Depending on the setup you have... Oh, that's a big lockup. That's gonna cost a lot of time. So depending on the setup you're running on this track, if it's a very stable setup, it does help you get through these tight corners in the middle section. But you might be leaving some time on the table on the straights, and the straights here are pretty long, and you're gonna lose a lot of time if you're running. Oh, and that's another big lockup. Oh, and the spin as well. Yeah, so Der Hammer not quite happy with his car yet. Not quite happy with the no traction control, I guess. And that's a little spin there from him. We've also seen Lavi Fasole take pole now by only 0.02 of a second, so pretty close out in front. We also have Flesh River pretty close to them as well, and Flesh River actually takes it back. Flesh River now on pole, and we're gonna wait for Tipsy Bob to make the next move. He's also on a hot lap, so let's follow him around. and it's already a purple sector. So looking pretty good for Tipsy Bob. He's definitely not he's definitely not decided to keep it down on the low, despite being championship, despite taking the championship already. We see HezSX moving up into P4 there. I think it's quite interesting always to see these no assist drivers head into the no assist league. For example, when they're from Tier 4, where I usually see some of these guys drive, and they just completely crush it in relation, relative to their normal league races. Oh, and ooh, big moment there from Tipsy Bob. Just about caught it, but that's going to cost a lot of time. That was 2 purple sectors, but now is it going to be enough to improve on his lap? It's pretty close, and it's not quite enough. It's not quite enough to take pole from Flash Rover. So Flash Rover's still on provisional pole here. Tipsy Bob quite a tiny bit behind. It's really close here in qualifying. Everybody has a chance to go at pole. We have HezSX also just 1.5 tenths behind. I think he's on an in-lap right now. Shaka and Ocean Chief. Ocean Chief has done 2 laps on these tires apparently. He's getting some of the slipstream here. Taking advantage of everything he can to get the best lap time. Bit of a slide there, but yeah, that's to be expected. Brazil can be a very slidey track if your setup isn't too stable. But in some of these corners you do need the turn-in as well, so you don't want to have a super stable setup, because you're not going to make it around these tight turns. You're going to understeer a lot, and you're not going to be having a lot of fun either. So you just got to get it right, and you're going to get the perfect line through these corners. Looking pretty good from Ocean Chief right now. Very clean lap. Taking a purple middle sector as well. Yeah, that was looking very fast. So now he's chasing down the other drivers towards the finish line. Should be quite the improvement, I think. It's going to all depend on this straight, though. Is this setup good for the straights? It is. It's P6 for now. Okay. Ocean Chief up into P6. Behind Koyo and Lavi Fasole. By the way, if I butcher your name at any point during this qualifying, I apologize. Or during the race even, but by then it's already... I've already got your name down, and if it's wrong, it's wrong. I'm sorry. We have HezSX in P2 now. That's quite impressive. That's quite a good lap. 107.7, right ahead of Tipsy Bob, just 1,000th of a second. That's 1 millisecond ahead. That's pretty insane. You've got to really drive a very similar lap to get this close to someone else. I'll take a quick look at the chat here. I don't have anybody else to look at chat for me. So Tipsy Bob is saying "Danke Eversnacks." So yeah, you're welcome. Wonderful drive from you today. Completely deserve taking the championship here in this race. Really outstanding performance. Just showing up. And we have another person off pole. And it's by almost a that's insane. Okay. So Koyo taken. I'm gonna call you Koyo. I'm sorry if that's wrong. I think he's called something similar on Discord as well. So I think that's fair enough. So yeah, really good lap there. That was a lot of pace he gained from his last lap. And it's almost a second up on everybody else. Flash Rover, HezSX, and Tipsy Bob are really far away from that lap. So they're gonna have to improve quite a bit. Of course, the laps are gonna get quicker because the track is improving. But I wouldn't say this much. So they're gonna have to find some time somewhere around the track if they want to take pole here. We also still have Gary's here, who's heading out of the pits right now. That could be a potential contender as well, we don't know. I'm just now seeing their Hammer's best lap right now is a 1:33. I'm not sure if that was his fastest lap. I think there might still be some space for improvement here. Let's take a quick look at that. He was going pretty fast, I'd say, in the last lap where we followed him, but we maybe shouldn't have followed him for the whole lap because he did spin. And we all know the power of the commentator's curse. So always gotta be careful when you're following a driver around for a full lap. But yeah, he's heading for another fast lap. We should see some improvement here, at least, yeah, a few seconds I'd say. Maybe a 125 I'm expecting. It's already 3/10 up to the first sector, so it should be possible to gain at least a second here. And Gary's is out on the mediums again, so he really wants to start on those mediums. Maybe he thinks he can improve a bit more and actually take those mediums into the race. But it's all going to be down to whether Der Hammer sets a good lap as well. If he does manage to set a good lap, then he's gonna get past quite a few of these drivers, I'd imagine. Currently still 3/10 up. That's not quite enough for a good spot yet. He's gonna have to improve from his spin lap a bit here, and I believe he's gonna beat that 133, just judging from the current times. And he sets a 107.8. P5 for him for now. So he's also very close to those guys out in front. Has SX, Tipsy Bob. I think he can make some stuff happen here. As we're seeing Tipsy Bob beat his time by about 3/10. So Tipsy Bob up into P2. He did manage to get closer to Coyote, but it's not quite enough yet. There's gonna be... They're gonna have to find a bit more time here if they want to take pole. But it's looking like Coyote definitely has control of this qualifying session. We're seeing a bit of a spin here from Gary, a bit of an excursion off the track. We might take a look at Shaka here, who's heading for a hot lap. In just a second, he's going onto the straight, and he really wants to get a good exit out of that last turn, because that's really what determines your speed on the straight. Because you're not going to be an overtake, of course, in qualifying. You only have the hot lap mode. So you're gonna have to still see that you get a good exit out of the last turn. So you're gonna have to the highest possible top speed by the time you're passing the start-finish line. Right, so Shaka using all the track here, letting himself drift to the outside of the track. Braking a bit late there, slight lock-up like he did in turn 1 as well. It's really easy to lock up in Brazil because once you're past your braking point, you really don't have a lot of time to really correct. You really want to get that perfect line through the corners, or you're gonna lose a lot of time because it's such a flowy track, and we do see Tipsy Bob retiring. So it's at most P2 for him in qualifying. The points, of course, don't matter because he does have his championship in the bag, but still, really strong showing from Coyote, I think. I haven't seen him drive yet, but definitely looking very strong from just judging by that lap time. So Shaka is heading to the start-finish line as well, going down the straight, taking the inside line. And it's a 108.0, beating Ocean Chief by just over a 10th. Beautiful lap. But I want to follow this driver, this fast guy who... He did drive in Japan, I've heard. And he's oh, look at this. He's taken the outside line to build up as much speed as he possibly can here into turn 1. Really optimizing his driving here. Bit of a lock-up, of course, but yeah, that's not going to lose him too much time. So he did drive the race in Japan as well. I don't know how he did in that one, but I'd assume quite competently, probably. Oh, and he invalidates. Yeah, just went a bit too far on the outside there. I saw the car sliding around a bit, and if you just go a bit too far on the outside, then you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose your lap, and so his lap hasn't been invalidated. As Flash River sets at 107.2. So another one of these challengers. Oh, and he retires on track. Oops. That's not a nice thing to do. But we do have Flush River, who just took P2. We do also have Heze SX. This could be a hot lap right now, I think it is. He is just about over a 10th up as well, if he doesn't get too much wheel spin out of the last corner there. I don't actually know if any of these corners here on the straight are considered corners officially, but I'm just going to call the actual last turn the last turn. And Heze SX does improve by 2/10 as well, which isn't quite a position. Oh! That was quite the shunt. That was quite the shunt into the... Oh, and he's actually being followed by Vans, who also retired. That's quite the funny image there with the two cars just sitting in the runoff. And we also have Ocean Chief just slamming into the pits past Flush River. Didn't want to be last to go into the pits. We do have Levi Fasole on a lap, but he's invalidated and it wasn't a strong lap either. So I think that's qualifying over for everybody now. Everybody's stopping on track, and I think that's the end of this session. Niebuhr is definitely going to take that practice if he can. It sure looks like it. He's still driving. Probably taking one last attempt at practicing the last corner to make sure he gets it right in the race. And he does head into the pits as well, so everybody now done with qualifying. Right, so that is the end of this qualifying session, and we're seeing a quite impressive 106.8 there on the board. P1 for Coyote. Right, so quite the interesting qualifying session. Quite some unexpected results, I'd say, from my perspective. But perhaps it's different for those who really know these drivers. But yeah, Tipsy Bob down in P3 here. Still a strong lap, but perhaps could have done a bit better. HezXX right behind them. That's a good lap from him. 107.5 from HezXX in P4. Boosted Mess right behind. Ahead of their Hammer, which is also not really something I would have expected, but there you just see it. These drivers that always drive without the assists enabled, they have the upper hand here, and they can take the points. Lavi Fasole, after a strong first lap, I think was struggling a bit to improve on that lap, so down in P7 for now. And Ocean Chief, Shaka, the two Alfa Romeo taking P8 and 9, with Wenz rounding out the top 10, and I'm gonna call out the last driver as well, don't worry. So it's Gary's who headed out on the mediums a few times in P10 after all. I think just learning the track a bit and trying to get used to the car, which is probably a good idea. Like if you're not really used to driving with no assists, you want to be very careful in the qualifying. Just practice the track, because you're not going to be gaining anything at the race start anyway. You want to hang back a bit. So the more practice you can get before the race, that's gonna help you the most, I think, in terms of lap times and pace over the race distance. Because we're gonna see a few of these drivers improving a bit as the race goes on. By the way, it's looking very dry right now, very sunny. I don't think there's gonna be any rain involved in this race, which is gonna be relieving for a few of these drivers, but possibly also make a few other drivers taking a chance away from a few other drivers, because wet races do tend to get a bit messy. So if you're one of those drivers that really excel in the wet, then you're of course always hoping for some rain. But yeah, it does not look like there's going to be any rain right now. So Gary's is starting on a fresh set of mediums as well. He's trying to come back from the back of the field there by just going a bit longer and possibly taking the medium soft strategy. I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to do the standard strategy of soft and medium if you're not used to using no assists, especially the traction control is going to make a big difference. But yeah, we'll have to see how long Gary's can go on the mediums, and perhaps we can build some theories on top of that. Or we're also going to see whether these drivers are going to pit for the mediums or for the hards in a few laps time. I think the softs don't last too long on this track, so we're going to see some pit stops around lap, I'd assume maybe lap 11 for the first scheduled pit stops. But yeah, we'll see some strategy play out in this race, I'm sure. There's also the potential for a safety car, of course, especially with some newer drivers to this league. There's always a chance that somebody just gets it wrong and perhaps finds themselves on the wrong, pointed the wrong direction or at the wrong part of the racetrack, possibly even a wall. So there's always a chance for safety cars, but especially when a driver isn't really used to how the car handles. Right, so we are heading towards the start of this race now. Quite a big gap here. Oh, we're actually seeing the predicted pit stop strategy. So soft hard, is predicted with a first pit stop in lap 13. The other suggested strategy is a soft... Was it a soft medium, I believe? Possibly soft medium as well. The 2-stop is possible, but it's not the best strategy, I'd say, for the race. You really want to get that 1 stop. So I'm expecting some pit stops for mediums around lap 16 at the very latest. And we're ready to go racing. I'm not seeing any lights, but I'm sure we're gonna go soon. And we're ahead. We're away, and the timing screen is kind of messed up, but we're seeing a Ferrari cutting through the field. I think that's Tipsy Bob taking P2 there. So Tipsy Bob getting ahead of Flash River at the start. Flash River doing pretty well. It's really clean at the race start. I think Gary's still at the back there, but we're seeing some slight position changes all around the field. It's looking pretty good for one of the Williams there. There's a Williams of Der Hammer getting past Boosted Mess, I believe. There's an overtake right there. And it is Niebuhr, Der Hammer, past Boosted Mess down into P6. There's an overtake attempt from La FIFA Sole as well on Boosted Mess, so everybody trying to get past here, trying to find a way to get past the car ahead. I think Shaka lost a bit of time. Shaka lost a bit of time at the race start to Vans, who got ahead. So Shaka down into P10 for now, and Vans ahead for now. Out in front, we still have the same order that we had right after the race start. So Tipsy Bob getting ahead of Flash River there with HESS6. Oh, HESS6! I shouldn't have said anything. He spins. I think he also spun on the formation lap, so maybe struggling with the fuel load a bit here. So HESS6 around, but going again now, and he's chasing after Gary. I think that's gonna be a few laps until we're gonna see an overtake there potentially. We're seeing some close racing here in the middle of the pack, especially with these Alfa Romeos, and Boosted Mess also trying to take the position back from Boosted Mess trying to take the position back from Der Hammer. There we go. All right. So yeah, we're seeing everybody chasing each other very closely, but out in front it's Coyote, Tipsy Bob, and Flush River on the podium positions right now. Really close battling between those guys here. As I said in qualifying, it's quite a difference in setups as well. So if your setup is good, well equipped to deal with these tight corners in the middle section, and you're getting the flow exactly right, then you can gain a lot of time through this section, and you can hang on to the back of another car by the time you come around to here, to the last corner, and you want to get a good launch onto the straight, like Ocean Chief here is trying to do with the slipstream on La FIFA Sole, but it's not going to be enough until they're going to have the DRS at the next DRS zone, I believe. Yeah, there's a detection point right here, so the DRS is going to open for Tipsy Bob here, and he's chasing after Coyote, trying to take the lead of the race, and some more points for his championship. Of course, you're not just going to give up as soon as you've got the championship. You still want to get as many points as you can. So I don't think we're going to see Tipsy Bob giving up anytime soon. We're seeing an overtake at the back of the field there. It's Gary's being overtaken by HESS6. So Gary's not quite used to the car, but that's fine. He's going to get quicker and quicker as the race progresses. And potentially we'll see him get back into some fights by the time the first pit stops come around. We're seeing Flash River getting pretty close here to Tipsy Bob as well. The double slipstream is going to be pretty strong, combined with the DRS as well. Excuse me, I'm going to have to take a quick sip from my drink. It is very hot here, and it's pretty hot on the racetrack as well. We're seeing some hot action going on with Tipsy Bob taking the fastest lap for now and getting really close to Coyote now. But you can really see how Coyote got that first sector down extremely well. There's already a gap of 8/10 before the second straight. It's quite impressive how well he takes that. He's really got the correct line to the first corners there. And we're seeing Ocean Chief trying to outbrake the Haas here. And Vance has to take the outside there. He braked a bit too late. Oh, it's Shaka actually, sorry. So Shaka going past Vance for P8. And it's Shaka moving back up the order. And back behind his teammate, Ocean Chief, who is in the DRS range of La FIFA Sole as well, so we might be seeing a bit of a DRS train here. The top three are definitely close to each other. behind them, it's mostly Boosted Mess who has everybody with the DRS assistance behind him, namely Navi, Fasole, and Ocean Chief. But we're seeing Tipsy Bob catch up to Coyote here again on the main straight. I'm sure he's... Wait, well, we've got to show the telemetry, of course. He's not using his overtake now, so he's making sure that he gets as close as possible here and possibly make a move on the second straight. Der Hammer taking the fastest lap, so he's also getting warmed up with this car. Of course, also one of these drivers that usually use at least some assists. So, pretty impressive to see him already up to pace now. Tipsy Bob is getting close to Coyote here, but not quite enough to make a move happen. Possibly, if he stays close enough through this middle section, he might be able to make a move on the next main straight. We're seeing a yellow flag in Sector 2. That's a Haas around. It's Vans. So Vans has spun, and that's also quite some damage on the car as well. He's going to have to pit. We're going to see what strategy he takes here. That's quite interesting, actually, to see if he goes for the hearts from here, if he thinks they can last long enough, or if he's going to go for 2 more stops. Actually, there's a virtual safety car. I'm now being shown a virtual safety car. So, yeah, it's going to be Tipsy Bob behind Coyote here. Close enough to potentially make a move if there wasn't a virtual safety car, but there is. So, we're not going to be seeing a move right now. Possibly one of them gets a better launch off the virtual safety car, though. It's going to be quite interesting to watch who can get away quicker here. But for now, they're just managing their delta and making sure they don't get a penalty. We see Tipsy Bob hungry for that position. He's getting really close to Coyote here. He doesn't want to leave him too much space, because as soon as you drop too far back, it could be that potential mistake. And it's a drive-through penalty for Boosted Mess! So it's Boosted Mess who gets away from the versus safety car the worst. He was trying to get away from Lavi Fasole, I'm sure. Just making sure that there's not a move right after the virtual safety car. But that drive-through penalty is going to hurt him a lot more than overtake would have. Oh, and there's... Oh, the leader is around! Coyote has spun. I think he just spun by himself. Just got it wrong there and heading back onto the track. Down in P8 now. That's going to be quite the chase. He has really good pace, so I'm sure he can get back a few of these positions, and Boosted Mess, of course, has the penalty. But it's now going to be dangerous for Tipsy Bob, because Tipsy Bob, of course, has lost the DRS assistance because he's not behind the Mercedes anymore. So Tipsy Bob under attack here from Flash River. Flash River trying to take a good line here through these 2 turns. Tipsy Bob is getting them quite right, taking some wide lines here to make sure he gets a good exit onto the straight. And he's gaining a bit of time on Flash River before the DRS does open. And Flash River is within 4/10. So not quite the dangerous. Oh, and Coyote gets a 3-second penalty as well. Yeah, so maybe trying a bit too hard to catch up here. I think we also saw him invalidate one of his laps in qualifying. It's always a trade-off. You have to take some risks to drive the fastest possible laps. But at the same time, if you get a penalty, then you've got essentially you've got a bigger issue. So you really want to take these turns carefully, but just careful enough. If you use too much caution, then you're gonna lose a lot of time. Ocean Chief with a bit of the lock-up here. I think he was hoping to get a good launch out of here onto the main straight, so he can potentially launch an overtake on Lavi Fasole, who is, of course, also within a second of Boosted Mess, so both of them have the DRS enabled. Flash River getting really close here to the back of Tipsy Bob. He did take a fastest sector in Sector 3 here, and he's extremely close. I think that's gonna be close enough to make a move here. Flash River taking the inside. They're side by side, and Flash River is ahead just enough to get past Tipsy Bob, but he has to go wide, and Tipsy Bob takes the position back here. Yeah, I think he braked just a bit too late, and he recognized that that was too much of a push for that position there, and he had to back out of that a bit, take the white line around, and he's gonna launch another attempt pretty soon, I'm sure. He still does have the DRS. He's within about half a second, so shouldn't be too hard for him to try again. We also have Niebuhr, their hammer, catching up to the back of both of those guys, so he's also within half a second now of Flesh River. He's also looking to get in on the action. There's a yellow flag somewhere. I think it was Shaka. I think Shaka got a bit out of shape there. Nothing big, I assume. But yeah, we're gonna head back to the front of the field as we see Flesh River taking the outside here, trying to go around the outside of Tipsy Bob. Niebuhr getting it all wrong behind them, locking up. I think he was too focused on what the cars ahead were doing. But now Flesh River just 3/10 behind Tipsy Bob. Tipsy Bob is surely pushing right now with everything he has to keep that position. He really wants to stay in the lead here because that's his chance for the race win. It's gonna be very interesting to watch for the pit stops later on, if there's going to be a big undercut or something. But for now, Tipsy Bob really wants to stay out in front, and if he can, he definitely wants to drop Flesh River out of the DRS window. We do see him pushing right now, just to get away from Flesh River. Flesh River's battery, of course, not quite as full as that of Tipsy Bob. Flesh River is about 25% by the time we're going to head to the start-finish straight. Niebuhr behind them has been collecting a lot of battery, so he's almost got a full battery and he's going to be ready to launch an attack pretty soon. He is pushing a bit out of the last turn just to make sure he hangs on to the back of these guys. And he is catching ever so slightly to Flesh River. We do see Dear Coyote as well, who's caught up to the back of Shaka after that incident in the middle sector, and it's a pretty easy overtake, I'm sure. Coyote taking the inside line here. Oh, there's a bit of touching there. Yeah, Shaka definitely doesn't want to give up that position, but Coyote just taking that perfect line through turn 3 again. I believe it's called the Senna S. I'm sorry if that's wrong. I'm not too good with these turn names, but I do believe it's the Senna S's. Where Coyote just gets the line perfectly right. There was a bit of touching in the first turn. It was because Shaka was definitely not just going to give up that position. But yeah, that second and third turn, they really matter. You want to get a really good launch out of them onto the second straight. And HezSX is also catching back up to the field now. HezSX right behind Shaka now, and he's going to have the DRS assistance soon. We're watching from Niebuhr's car here. Flesh River still catching up to the back of Tipsy Bob. Flesh River does have the DRS in every single lap now, so he keeps catching up to the back of Tipsy Bob, and he also keeps trying to launch an attack, but it's always just not quite enough. Tipsy Bob's defensive driving too strong for him for now. But we'll see if there's going to be a move in the next few laps. Of course, Flesh River, as we said before, he doesn't have a lot of battery right now. He's on 10%, so is Tipsy Bob, so both of them very much making use of their battery to ensure they're getting the lead of the race here, while Niebuhr is still almost at a full battery. There's another time penalty for Coyote here. Yeah, that's going to hurt by the end of the race, especially if there's a safety car. It's going to make an even bigger difference. By the way, talking about tires for a moment here, so Busmes just took a drive-through penalty, so he wasn't able to change the tires even if he had wanted to. And we do have Vans switching onto the mediums, so after that wing damage he decided, alright, let's try the mediums for a while, and I'm sure there's going to be a second pit stop as well by the end of the race. There's really no way that the mediums are going to last that long. Bit further behind, by the way, Vance takes a penalty, but we do want to watch Ocean Chief catching up to the back of Lavifaso. Oh, it's a full safety car! It's a full safety car, so Vance did shunt into a wall again, I think. Or maybe just spun off the track. So the safety car is coming out, and Bussemes is taking that opportunity right away to just head into the pits and get some fresh tires on. Should be pretty interesting to watch for the tire strategies here, because they're going to have to decide, do they go for the mediums? Because it's quite early for the mediums, so Bussemes does go for the mediums. It's quite early for the mediums here, so do they really want to take that risk? Or do they want to go for the hards and make sure they can make it till the end of the race without another pit stop? There could still be another safety car as well, so they have to account for that. So quite some strategy involved in this race. Right, we're gonna I want to read the chat real quick. Wait, thank you. It's just people trying to flatter me. Just trying to get on my good side so I don't curse them during my next commentary. But we're also seeing power boosted. Yeah, that drive-through penalty really hurt him. And pretty low battery out in front, but it's not really gonna matter now because all of them are heading into the pits. As we return to the race screen here, gonna be very interesting to watch for the main guys here. So Flash River, Tipsy Bob, and Niebuhr all pitting, and it's Flash River ahead of Tipsy Bob. That pit stop makes all the difference. Flash River did manage to get ahead of Tipsy Bob in the pits. Oh, that must have been the tiniest of gaps there. One of them just being held for a tiny bit longer, getting onto the throttle a bit too late. And yeah, looks like it's gonna be Flash River out in the lead for the next few laps. We do have the safety car now, and everything can change at the restart. I'm gonna take this moment to get a quick sip of my drink. Please do make sure to hydrate as well. I'm sure there's a lot of countries where it's really hot currently, and it's important to get enough water into your system. So, gonna see you in just a second. Right, and we're back for some more commentary. So yeah, the race is still looking pretty dry. We're looking at the sky right now. It's very blue, very cloud-free, so I don't think there's going to be any rain by the end of the race. But yeah, Flash River taking that position in the pits, that's going to make a big difference. Let's take a quick look at the tire situation as well. So we do have some guys on the hards. Most of them did opt for the mediums. They think they can go long enough on those tires, I think. We have... Oh, everybody's everybody's working very hard to warm up their tires. And it's Vance who goes off track for a bit there. I think he might have been trying to let some people go past because he's lapped anyway. But I don't think the safety car allows you to just let people go past. So he's going to be a slight roadblock at the restart, I think, for the guys behind. Namely Coyote, who could have a really strong restart here. He's really been helped by the safety car. He's going to be able to make some moves here, I think. But everybody is queued behind the safety car now, so it should be a restart pretty soon. But yeah, we do see some tire strategy here. Lavi Fasole going for the hard. So is Coyote, actually. So he thinks he can make some moves by the end of the race when his tires are going to be in good condition. I think you can very much go to the end on the hards right now. On the mediums, it's going to be a bit tougher. And the safety car is coming in this lap. HezSX also opting for the hards. He's also been helped by the safety car because he was behind quite a bit after spinning. And Gary is also going from the mediums onto the hards. He decided to make his one pit stop of the race when he has the chance under safety car. But it's Flash River leading the field away. Backing everybody up quite a bit for now. He doesn't want to go yet. I think he doesn't want to give a lot of slipstream here to Tipsy Bob. It's a very long straight, so you really don't want to go too early. But I believe he does step on the gas now. And it's Niebuhr who gets away really well. I think there's almost a move here. Der Hammer definitely thinking about making a move for P2 here, but Tipsy Bob keeps the position for now. Behind them, bit of a mess because there is also a lap car between them. HezSX losing a bit of time here. And I think Boosted Mess also struggling just a bit at the restart there. So Gary's making some moves here. He's taking P8. But ahead of them, it's looking pretty clean. Shaka trying to get that position back from Coyote. He still remembers being touched on the wheel a bit there. But yeah, trying to take that position back. Not quite enough yet, but it's Tipsy Bob who's behind Flash River now, and he's definitely pushing to make a move here as well. Niebuhr still hanging behind. Niebuhr still making sure he has enough battery to make a move once he does want to. Busemes got past Hazard's X somewhere there, I think. Let's hope nobody gets caught up by some different lines being taken from some drivers that are not used to driving without assists as much. I do know the feeling. I did drive in Nana last week in Mexico, and it's really not that easy to just change your whole driving style. But we do see Ocean Chief here trying to make a move. Ocean Chief, of course, one of those guys who always drive without the assists, and he does make the move for now. Does he get a good exit out of turn 3 though? Does he get a good exit out of the S's? Yes, a better exit than Lavi Fasole, who doesn't have enough space to really gain any momentum on the inside there. And we're hearing an engine bug as well. That's quite annoying. Well, it does happen. We're just gonna follow a different car for now. And it's... Oh, there's a move back there. Gary's struggling a bit there, and Gary's getting out of shape. I'm not sure if there was contact with Hazard's X, possibly. Hazard's X was behind him and trying to get past. I'm not sure if anything happened between those two guys. But yeah, some of these incidents, they do happen, and the drivers do sometimes just spin by themselves. Without the assists, it's pretty easy to just make a small mistake and you're suddenly around. Coyote now getting back into the race. He's dropped Chaka. And there's not going to be DRS assistance for Chaka to stay behind either. Coyote now trying to make some moves, just to work against that time penalty that he got. He does have a 6-second time penalty, and that's going to make quite a difference if the field stays somewhat close. And the field has been very close for most of the race, especially out in front. Flash River, Tipsy Bob, and Niebuhr, all with very strong... Oh, and Vance heads into the pits and retires. Yeah, I think after being lapped, it's quite frustrating to be driving on your own without any chance to get back into the race. Because of course the game doesn't allow you to unlap yourself under a safety car. So quite understandable. After, I think he's lost 2 wings as well, so maybe quite understandable that this hasn't been his best race, I'd assume. Oh! Are we seeing something happening? Yeah, Tipsy Bob! Tipsy Bob getting out of shape and just getting back onto the track out ahead of Ocean Chief, but Ocean Chief does take the position for now. So it's Ocean Chief now up into the podium positions, but Tipsy Bob is going to have the DRS assistance soon, and he's going to try to make a move on Ocean Chief, but of course Ocean Chief has... Oh, he actually doesn't have that much battery. I was thinking he would, but no, it's Tipsy Bob who has more battery out of those two, despite having been fighting out at the top. But Ocean Chief did have to make an overtake on Lavi Fasole just a few laps ago, so that would have cost him a bit of battery. Their Hammer now pushing just to get within the 1-second window of Flash River. We'll have to see how this evolves. There could be a potential for an overtake there as well, and while those two guys are fighting, it's going to be Tipsy Bob potentially coming back into the race, and even Coyote, he's still trying to fight these guys, still trying to make some moves. And if he does get into the top 4, it could be possible that he catches up to the others. He had some really strong qualifying pace. Like I think he took pole by just about half a second, which is incredibly impressive to just have that much of a gap to the next guy. So could be very possible if he gets past the traffic that he can still make something happen in this race, on track at the very least. But that penalty, as we've said before, really gonna hurt. Lavi Fasole, of course, on the hard tires. I think that's why he's been dropping down a bit, because the hard tires are just not as quick around Brazil here, and they're gonna be a bit weaker for the next few laps until the mediums start to slowly drop off. We do have Tipsy Bob following Ocean Chief here and getting a very good launch out of the S's. Out of the S, is it one S? Is it several S's? Who knows? But Ocean Chief is definitely defending after the second straight as well, but not quite enough. They were very close to each other there, but Tipsy Bob keeping it clean, making a clean move, and taking P3 back. So Tipsy Bob back up into the podium positions, while Lavi Fasole and Coyote are hanging on to the back of both of them. They're also going to be looking towards making a move soon. We'll take a quick look at the battery situation again. It's pretty full battery for Lavi Fasole here, so looking pretty good to launch an attack on Ocean Chief, but Ocean Chief does still have the DRS. and that's going to help him defend from the other guys. Somebody who also has the DRS right now, and the wing is opening, is Der Hammer in P2. So Flesher are going to have to defend pretty hard soon. Der Hammer definitely catching up here with the DRS assistance. It's several tenths down the straight. Oh, as I say that, there's a penalty for Der Hammer in P2. So 3 seconds are going to be added to the race time at the end of the race. That's going to also hurt his chances of taking the race win. So Tipsy Bob is slowly crawling back into a really good position here. If he doesn't take a penalty, there could be a chance to make something happen. But Flesh River is still leading the race. 16 laps to go. He just has to keep it clean. And it should be looking pretty good for him. Because Tipsy Bob is going to struggle to catch up. His tires are going to be a bit warmer now that he's spun. Or, well, I don't think he's spun, but he's just went off track a bit. Probably had some wheel spin that got him off the ideal racing line. And yeah, that's going to hurt your temperatures a bit. We're going to follow Coyote now, trying to make a move past Lavi Fasola. He's getting a pretty good launch out of here. And I think that could be a potential move, but both of them do have the DRS. Which one of them can use the slipstream better is the question here. I think it's Lavi Fasola staying out in front for now. Without the advantage of the DRS, in these DRS trains it's really hard to get past anyone. But we're seeing the strong Senna S's by Coyote again. He really knows how to take those turns. And Lavi Fasola is really struggling and really losing some time trying to defend this. They're side by side into the turn. How are they going to be looking after this turn though? And it's Coyote taking the inside line and Lavi Fasola just having to back out a slight bit to make sure there's no contact. So Coyote definitely starting to make some moves back up the order. Lavi Fasola also has a penalty. I think he just took that. I didn't see that before. That's 3 seconds for Lavi Fasola, but 9 seconds for Coyote. That's going to be a struggle to get a podium position with 9 seconds of penalties. Ocean Chief has just dropped out of the 1 second window of Tipsy Bob, so it's going to be Coyote catching up to the back of him now on the main straight. I don't think he's going to be able to gain 7 tenths, but on the second straight, the back straight, I think it could be possible for a move to happen there, as we're seeing a move happen here. Der Hammer taking the inside line and going past Flash River. 3 second penalty for Der Hammer, of course, still, but maybe he can gain that much time by the end of the race. But it's going to be Flash River trying to launch an attack back here, trying to take him on the second straight, but it's not quite enough. He's going to have to stay behind for now. But if he can manage to stay close through the middle section, we might be seeing some more moves soon. Ocean Chief, by the way, back within the 1 second window of Tipsy Bob. Tipsy Bob really struggling to hang on to the back of Flash River and Der Hammer. Those two guys are really pushing to get away and to just get a bit of a gap to the drivers behind. Something that's slowly been happening back here is Busemes catching up to the back of Shakalaka. Is that possible? Or is it Shakalaka who's gone past? So either way, we have Shakalaka in P7 and Busemes in P8 now. It's calming down a bit right now because these DRS trains are stabilizing a bit, but we have Flash River trying to... Oh, Flash River taking a 3 second penalty in these NSs. So it's another one with a penalty now. It's still looking good for Tipsy Bob, who doesn't have one. But yeah, that really sucks for Flash River, and it's really helpful for Der Hammer out in front, because Der Hammer just has to take the race home now and make sure he stays far clear of Tipsy Bob. And Ocean Chief, for that matter. Ocean Chief still very close to the back of Tipsy Bob. So we can't count him out of the race either, because Tipsy Bob did have the pace to finish on the podium here. And if he does, then so does Ocean Chief, if he stays in the DRS window for sure. Right, so in just a while, I don't think we're seeing it happen quite yet, but in just a while, we've done 9 laps after, well, since the safety car started. We'll be seeing the hards getting better and better as the mediums slowly start to drop off. So it could be some some potential for Coyote and especially Levi Fasola with only 1 penalty getting back into the race. SX, of course, in the back also has been very quick in the qualifying. He's going to be trying to catch back up to Boosted Mess and Chaka, but those two guys are still on the quicker tire right now. And Boosted Mess takes a penalty. It's raining penalties today. It's not raining any water, so the race gods were like, hey, let's give them some penalties instead. There's a few places here in Brazil where it's really easy to take some penalties, and then there's other turns where you really can't take penalties even if you try. But yeah, especially out of the Senna S's, if you want to push really hard, it's quite easy to get a penalty just to get tiny bit too far onto the curb, and suddenly you've got a 3-second penalty. Of course, you do have to do it 3 times, so the penalties are definitely deserved in most cases. But yeah, it's not an instant thing. You have to consistently be trying a bit too hard to take the best line, and you're gonna get a slap on the wrists, and then you're gonna get another slap on the wrists, and then after you've been slapped enough, you get a 3-second penalty instead. Boosted Mess and Chaka are getting really close to each other here. I think there was a bit of a dive there from Boosted Mess. He definitely braked a bit later than Chaka, but Chaka taking it back by taking a better line, a stronger line through the first turn, and doing the switchback in turn 2 here. Boosted Mess trying to take the outside around Chakalaka. It's not quite working yet, but he does have quite some good speed here as well, and he's going to try again on the next opportunity. Meanwhile, Ocean Chief still really close to Tipsy Bob. It was just over half a second, it's a bit more now. I think he's locked up a bit. But yeah, still within the second window of Tipsy Bob. And that's going to make it even harder for Coyote to get past, I think. Without the DRS by Ocean Chief, he would have had at least an opportunity to get past by now. And chasing after the other guys, Tipsy Bob, Flash River, Darehammer, the fast guys out in front. But Ocean Chief is definitely not going to make it easy for him. Now we're just going to see another move by Boosted Mess. He's taking the inside line. He's braking just a bit later again. But is Chaka going to get the switchback again? No, Boosted Mess making sure to take the defensive line. Making sure not to leave too much space for Chaka here. Chaka getting a good launch out of here. And he's going to have DRS, and he's using a slipstream very well to his advantage. He's moved past Boosted Mess now, taking the outside like Boosted Mess did last lap. And Chaka is out in front again. So Chaka passed Boosted Mess once more. And they're going to continue fighting for another lap. Meanwhile, those guys are getting really close to each other. Especially Coyote, I think, is really trying to get past Ocean Chief at this point. He knows that his hard tires are going to get better and better. So he wants to get past now so he can push after the other guys. But yeah, Ocean Chief still has the advantage here because he has the DRS as well, and he's just going to keep staying in that 1 second window to Tipsy Bob. Tipsy Bob not really catching up to the front guys still. I think he's losing some time at least by defending slightly from the guys behind. We're going to see another move from Boosted Mess. He's complete. Oh yeah, that was some big contact there. I'm not seeing any damage on Chaka's car. But yeah, that was Boosted Mess just braking a bit harder than Chaka expected there. So Boosted Mess did manage to get ahead before the end of the straight there. Oh, my voice is starting to suffer a bit. Very exciting race. It's just the proof here. So Chaka going side by side here once more, just trying to get past again, but Boosted Mess is keeping it for now. He did make the move happen, but then he braked a bit harder than Chaka expected. So, by the way, those two guys have been losing a lot of time because they've been battling very hard, and now SLR is also within the 1 second window. Talking about windows here, Ocean Chief has to be very careful not to leave the window open for Coyote because he's getting closer and closer. Every single lap he seems to be a bit closer to the back of Ocean Chief. I'm sure he's going to launch an attack soon. But yeah, once more it's not quite enough because they both have the DRS. Ocean Chief does lock up a bit, but I'm not sure if that's enough. With a good run out of here, Coyote takes another penalty, so he does take a really fast line through this first section of the track. but it's just a bit too fast. He can't quite take it without taking a lot of penalties over the course of the race. That does work in qualifying, which might explain his strong qualifying time, but in the race he really can't keep cutting corners. So now it's his SX on the back of Shaka. I think that's the next one trying to make a move here. And he has had very strong pace in qualifying, so he might be able to get past Shaka. Shaka, of course, losing a lot of time to Boosted Mess because he's defending now. And being on the defensive is just losing him just over a second to Boosted Mess. So probably not going to have any DRS assistance down the main straight, which would make this rather easy for SSX, I believe. Out in front, we haven't talked about those guys in a while. Flash River has been losing a lot of time to Der Hammer, so Der Hammer definitely got into his rhythm after practicing the track for a few laps. And he's now comfortably in the lead with 4 seconds gap back to Flash River. And it's another 3.5 seconds down to Tipsy Bob, who still doesn't have a penalty. And we do see SSX just pretending he's going to take the outside line there, but moving for the inside, and he does get past Shaka. Shaka is going to try to take it back here. He's got a pretty good launch out of there, and he does have the DRS. He follows Heze as closely as he can to get the slipstream, but he's still on the outside here, and Heze does keep the position. Of course, with a 2-second gap to Boosted Mess now. Boosted Mess is going to be very gleeful about all of this, because he needs to get away from Shaka. He needs to gain back that time penalty. Oh, and we're seeing some close fighting through the middle section here. Yeah, some really close fighting in Sector 2. The Coyote really trying to get past Ocean Chief by now. Ocean Chief getting a really good launch out of the last turn again, but he's not within the 1-second window of Tipsy Bob anymore. Is this still going to be enough to defend? I think Ocean Chief is using a lot of his battery now. He's decided to save up a lot of battery just to get into and stay within Tipsy's DRS window, just to make sure that Coyote never gets a chance to overtake. But now it's Ocean Chief very close to Tipsy Bob again, and potentially in the DRS window for the next straight. Right, let's take another breather here. I'm gonna leave you with the action and gonna take a drink for just a second. And we do jump right back into the action, so Ocean Chief is more than a second behind Tipsy Bob, and Coyote is very close, and he's got a good launch out of the last turn as well. He's gaining already before the DRS is activated. After the DRS is activated, it's even more of a gain, and it's going to be really hard for Ocean Chief to defend this one. He can for now, he's still ahead, but on the second straight, Coyote is getting a very good launch out of the third turn, and he's right on the back of Ocean Chief. He's pushing and pushing and pushing to get past here. And it might just be enough. He takes the inside line. Ocean Chief is forced to go the long way around. And he's trying to do the switchback on the second part of this turn. He still does have the outside line. They're side by side. And the Mercedes has to slot in behind again. Wonderful defensive driving from Ocean Chief there. But what's happened to Flash River and their Hammer out in front? Because they had a very big gap back to Tipsy Bob, and Tipsy Bob is now within 1.5 seconds of those guys. So something must have happened to both of them at some point. I can't believe we missed that, because it must have been Flash River losing about 2 seconds and their Hammer losing a good 6 seconds. Perhaps an almost spin at some point there. We do still see Coyote trying to get past Ocean Chief. He's going to launch another move. Just 2 tenths behind. And this time he's taking the inside for turn 1. This might just be enough to make it happen this time. He does already have the position for now, and he's taking the tightest line he can through the second part of the S's, and it might just be enough to keep the position. Ocean Chief with the DRS not quite able to catch up, and now he's gonna have to do a lot of work to stay within a second for the next DRS detection point. I think that's really the defining feature of this race right now, just staying within that 1 second gap. I believe that's what happens in Brazil quite often, because there's such a long straight and you really want to be in the DRS range. You want to make sure you're able to overtake somebody easily and you don't have to go side by side through the middle sector. That's a lot less fun than just breezing past somebody on the straight. But yeah, it's not always easy to do, because you do get the dirty air in the middle sector as well. Tipsy Bob now really catching up to the back of Flesh River, so Tipsy Bob trying to take the positions back here, and he still doesn't have a penalty as well. That's gonna really help him. There's 4 more laps, by the way. Tipsy Bob without a penalty still, so if he can just keep it clean here, he's within 2 seconds of the lead right now. If he can get past Flesh River, that's gonna help him immensely against their hammer. But for now, he's gonna have to fight Flesh River. Tipsy Bob is just going to have to hope that it doesn't cost him too much time. But he does hang on to the back of Flesh River here. He doesn't have much battery left though. Going to be interesting on the start and finish straight, because neither of them has any battery left actually. Their hammer actually pushing to get out of the DRS, to get them out of the DRS window. Meanwhile, Coyote and Ocean Chief are both catching up to this pair as well, so it could be an interesting finish to the race if they do. But yeah, Flesh River out in front here in P2 right now, just trying to drop Tipsy Bob, but it's going to be really hard to do. Tipsy Bob, oh, Tipsy Bob! Tipsy Bob just getting out of shape there. He does get the DRS, so he had just enough luck to be within a second at the DRS detection point, which means he's going to be able to catch up to the back of Flesh River again, and he can try again on the second straight possibly. But yeah, that's really what he didn't want to happen there, because their hammer is still out in front and he does only have a 6-second penalty as far as I'm aware. So 3 seconds for their hammer, 3 seconds for Flesh River, and 12 seconds for Coyote out in front. Some more penalties towards the back of the field. But yeah, that's really not the thing he really wants to do right now. He needs to hang on to the back of Flesh River. He needs to clear him as fast as he can to get within 3 seconds of their hammer by the end of the race. His tires should be looking very good right now. The hards, of course, last a bit longer, so Coyote behind him is going to be looking even better at this point of the race. But yeah, Tipsy Bob had a lot of time to conserve his tires. He hasn't had to push too much. He wasn't really fighting anyone for quite a while, just keeping Ocean Chief behind. But he really wants to clear Flesh River here. There has been a lot of action here in the upper midfield and towards the lead of the race. Their hammer is still pushing to just keep those 3 seconds to Tipsy Bob. I'm sure he's fully aware that Tipsy Bob doesn't have a penalty, and their hammer knows he needs that 3-second gap by the end of the race. Yeah, but not very much happening towards the back of the field. We still have Lavi Fasole staying in 6th position, just chasing after Ocean Chief now. He does have the hard tires that are going to last easily to the end of the race, while Ocean Chief probably has to conserve his just slightly. With Twisted Mess quite a bit behind that, has SX staying behind in P8 still. He hasn't managed to catch up to the back of Ocean Chief just yet, but he's now gaining a bit of time, I'd say. Shaka dropped off the back of SX once he got overtaken, but he still does have the chance. If he hangs on and pushes a bit now, he might still be able to get within 3 seconds of Boosted Mess and take that P8 at the end of the race. Oh, and actually we're seeing a different move than I was expecting. Yeah, Tipsy Bob is catching up to the back of Flesh River. But it's Coyote who we have to watch. He's really managed to catch up to the back of Tipsy Bob on the straight there. And Tipsy Bob doesn't have much battery left. Neither of them does actually. They don't have a lot of battery. They've been fighting for the whole race. And it's Flesh River who benefits from that. He's pushing just a bit to get a good exit out of these corners. Because he just really wants to stay away from those guys. And it's the last lap as well, of course. Hammer just chasing after the lap car of the not quite yet lapped car of Gary's. Maybe Gary's can manage to not get lapped by the end of the race. That would I'm sure he'd be happy about that. But it's Tipsy Bob who's trying to get past Flash River still, but at this point it's not going to make a difference because the gap to Niebuhr is just too much. So Darehammer with a 3-second time penalty still staying out in front, as he does take the last checkered flag of the season for now. This might still change, possibly, but it is almost a photo finish, by the way, for Tipsy Bob and Coyote. Coyote dropping down a lot of positions because of his time penalties. And it's Boosted Mess staying ahead of Hezes X for the end of the race. Shaka has just gone for some fresh tires. He decided, okay, I want to finish this race on the softs. They feel the nicest. So yeah, quite an eventful race there out in front. The drivers were very close to each other. By the way, Gary's does manage to not get lapped, which is quite good, I'd imagine, as somebody who just jumps into the car and decides, hey, I'm gonna race with no assists today. I believe that should be rather good. So Shaka taking that P9, and Gary's rounding out the points positions. Really close here, by the way. Flash River and Ocean Chief for the last podium position. Ocean Chief almost managed to get Flash River at the end on the penalties, but Coyote dropping down to P6 despite some really good pace. And the race is over. And there we have it, the last podium of the season. Darehammer, Tipsy Bob, and... Is it Ocean Chief taking the last... No, it's not. It's the Alpha Tauri off... Wait, 1 second. It's Flash River. Just about hanging on to the back there. Right, so, wonderful race today. We had some spins, we had some nice overtakes. But yeah, very, very fun race to watch overall. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to award the driver of the day here, but I'll do it anyway, I guess. So Darehammer very much just hanging on to that position once he managed to inherit it. The safety car did help him a bit, but it was Tipsy Bob and Flash River still fighting there. Darehammer mostly just keeping it clean for most of the race, driving out a very big gap to Flash River. Managing to gain quite some time because of that, and in the end it really helped him because he managed to keep Tipsy Bob away. So Darehammer taking a pretty good victory here in this race, and keeping Tipsy Bob and Flash River at bay. Right, so we're gonna head towards the interviews now. Any drivers that would like to perform an interview, please head into the interviews channel, and I'll pull you in just a second. I'll give you a bit to just enjoy yourselves together and gather, because I'll take another sip of my drink. I'll be back in a second. And we're back! I have just commanded all the drivers to join the interviews channel, and we'll speak to some of them now. Let's I'd say grab Ocean Chief first. Hello there, Ocean Chief. Amazing race from you. It was quite fun to watch. Quite some battles there, I think. How was the race for you? It was looking like a lot of fun to drive.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. No assist here is always fun, and yeah. So like, I did commentary for Tier 2, and I always moan about this, but you know, I've only got like 5 minutes to do practice, so I didn't do any practice. So the usual blah blah excuses, but yeah, I was knackered as well, and I was going into this one. I was just like, oh man, I just want this one to be over with, even though it's the last race of the season for me. For this one, but yeah, like quali was rubbish. Like I can do a 7.6, which isn't anything to shout off the rooftops about, but it would have done pretty well, I think, in this tier. but I think my best was a 7.9 in this session. I just couldn't get with it. I just could, when you just don't feel like in the zone, you
Yeah.
just feel like things are irritating you. Like, so I kind of, yeah, I just wanted the race, just thinking, right, stay out of trouble, don't push too hard, and to see what happens. But of course, whenever you're in the race, it's a different matter. Is it Lave Sole or Lave Soul?
I'm not exactly sure. I call him Lavi Fasole.
Lave Fasole, let's go with that. He was ahead of me for the first stint, and he was pretty fast, and I was just about keeping in his ERS, or his DRS, sorry, and I was storing up my ERS, and then the safety car came out, and everybody pitted. He pitted for hards, and I think that's just where he just went wrong. So I was able. Ice was talking to me, like my crew chief. He was saying, as soon as the safety car's in, you need to pass this guy.
Yeah.
So on the next lap, start finish straight, where there's no DRS, I thought he's probably got full, he's got a full tank of ERS, but I'm just going to maybe try and catch him napping if I can get a wee bit of a bit overspeed on him on the straight, and I managed to get the move done. And yeah, I think it was really important to do that, or else I would have been stuck behind him. And I was gutted. I was gutted that I didn't get flashed though. So he had that penalty, and I was close to that. I think it was like 3.4 behind him. So fair play to him. He kind of slowed down a little bit towards the end, and then he picked up the pace again. But yeah, I don't know. Like, who even won that race? I don't have no idea. Was it Tipsy Bob?
Der Hammer won it actually. He
Oh yeah,
managed to
sorry.
keep. Yeah, he managed to keep the gap to Tipsy Bob till the very end. So Der
This is
Hammer
how
just
old I am.
jumping into the car without assists and taking the
Yeah.
victory.
Well, he did do the tier 2 race, and he did pretty well there. But he was using assist there, so we were expecting him to spin a lot. He was actually in VC with me, so me asking you who won the race is a bit idiotic. I just call that a senior moment. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun, man, and it was. I think Brazil's a good track to end the season on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody knows it, it's quite familiar with it, whereas Abu Dhabi, it's a wee bit more, you have to put a bit more time into it, or else you're just going to have a nightmare of a race. So yeah, Brazil, yeah. And I think, hasn't it real F1, it's ended at Brazil as well, so it's a fitting end to the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely very looking very clean. So you still did keep your promise to yourself about just keeping it clean through the race, but also very very fun to watch your defensive driving. You had a very hungry Coyote behind you for a good bit of that. But yeah, it took him quite a few laps to get past you. Kept it on track even on some older mediums towards the end of the race. And yeah, almost a podium position. That was very close at the end there.
Yeah, I thought I might be there, but yeah, I just was making too many mistakes pushing the car at the final few laps. But that guy Coyote, I mean, a lot of people were giving off because after he set that stellar quali time, it was like whoa.
Yeah.
But then I was informed that he was drunk. He'd been drinking, so that's why he had incidents in the race.
I'll say that explains his time penalties then.
Yeah, and his penalties as well. So, yeah, that kind of averted a crisis because I was expecting a lot of angry people after this. Why do you let this guy race?
Yeah.
Even though we only had like 10, 11 drivers, But yeah, even with 10 drivers, this tier is actually really fun still because you don't have to be one of the fastest guys and grind out loads of laps to be competitive. You can, if you have a bit of experience under your belt, you can just jump in. And especially for guys like who do use assists, it's great for them to come in and not be absolutely demoralized by these aliens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that really helps to not have the very fastest guys in here and just to allow people to try it out. I did that last week as well, and it was fun for the few laps that I managed to do before crashing.
Yeah.
But
you'll get there, man. You'll get there. But here, I want to say, man, Boosters as well. He's not here, but you guys did a great job commentary this season. I know you're not quite finished with the F2 yet, but I was talking to Boosted about you guys. You both have good chemistry, and it's a pleasure to watch the F2 races. You seem like a natural, even Boosted as well. So the two of you together is really good, and I just want to say I appreciate you doing that because it's obviously you're just doing it out of your free time.
All right, thank you very much.
I think I did send you a t-shirt, but I don't think anyone's got it apart from Shaq yet.
Yeah, it seems to be on the way. It might take a while, but
They do exist, okay? For all the people that are waiting 2 months for their T-shirt, they do exist. It's COVID has delayed the shipment, so it will get there eventually.
all right. Yeah, so good race from you. Was fun talking to you, and
Yeah, thanks,
I'll
bro.
grab the next one then. Thank
Cheers,
you for the
bro.
interview.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Bye bye.
All right, I'm gonna grab Boosted Mess next. We just talked about him, so it seems fitting. Hello there, Boosted Mess. Welcome to the commentary booth. Not as my co-commentator today, but as a driver. I think it was. Yeah, it is. It is. So this time I get to ask the questions here. So yeah, it was looking like a very interesting race. The safety car mixed things up a bit. I think that managed to get you back into the race a bit after a bit of an incident there, and then we saw some really good fighting from you with Shaka. It was a lot of fun to see you guys going back and forth. So
Yeah,
how was the fighting for you?
it felt quite good. It was so clean today as well. Like, can I just say, like the whole race? I know there's a few incidents and stuff, but like everybody I came across in the race, everybody that was near me, everybody gave each other space and stuff. It was really, really good. So it was really, really good fun. But yeah, as you say, a little incident at the start there. I think I just got unlucky. My Delta just went red just on the turn 3, 4 after the DRS straight.
Yeah, I
Just as
think
the
it was
VSC ended.
just. Yeah, it was just as the VSC ended, I was like, okay, well, let's hope everybody managed to stay behind their delta, and then you were just, I think you
So
were
it
in
was
the middle
your
of a
fault.
turn there. Yeah.
So yeah, so that sucked a little bit, but hey, what can you do? But yeah, no, it was good. To be fair, I think I made a comment on it while I was driving. Like, I feel like I made the best penalty pit stop I possibly could. Like, I was so late on the brakes and just got the down below the sort of the green delta just as I crossed the pit lane limiter line. And
Yeah, I think that's at least one thing to brag about then.
yeah, so I at least kind of recovered a bit there. And then, as you
And-
say, yeah, the safety car allowed me to catch up again. But yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely looking very clean from my perspective as well. Seemed like a good race for the drivers as well, and you did also manage to keep Hezes X behind you on track at least. Of course, the penalty at the end did change that.
That was so difficult. Like, I was fighting Shaka for quite some time, and I was kind of enjoying it because at that point I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to catch the front runners anymore after what's
Yeah.
happened. But I was enjoying the fight with Shaka, and I kind of wanted it to just keep going on till the end of the race. And so yeah, so doing that. But of course, you kind of, when you're in that moment where you're fighting really hard, you sort of forget that you're going slower and other drivers are catching you. So suddenly Hezi appeared from out of nowhere. And I was like, oh god, I need to get this done and get away. And then, of course, once I got past, Hezi got past, and then from then on, I think it was like a 1.5 second gap just about for the entire rest of the race. I just couldn't get away from him. I tried so hard.
that
and I
is
couldn't drop
still
him.
some quite impressive pace there because Hezes X had a very strong qualifying. I was expecting some really strong race pace there as well, but you
Yeah.
did manage to keep that gap till the end of the race. So without the penalty, it would have been the perfect finish, I think. But still, very strong race and some very strong and clean battling in that season finale.
Yeah, it was really good fun. But yeah, and I also say as well quickly, a lot of people like in the chat, Icewind and that, for example, and a few other people I know that are watching, saying that you did incredibly well with your commentary today, despite being solo. So
I do gotta say,
thanks for commentating tonight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was well, a lot of fun. My throat is feeling a bit sore at this point, but I think I'll manage to do at least one more interview with the race winner after this. But yeah, it was fun commentating, and I really appreciate all the positive comments. And thank you as well, Boosted Miss.
No worries.
All right, I'll move you back.
Yep, and I'll see you tomorrow for F2.
Oh yes, I'll be commentating again tomorrow. Yeah, you're right. Okay. See you then.
Yep, take it easy.
All right, so let's grab our race winner and driver of the day, Darhammer. Hello there, Darhammer. Welcome to the commentary booth. And what a good race from you, man! Just jumping. I think we were just talking before the race that you were just turning off some assists and hoping it'll go somewhat okay without any spins. But I think that race was quite a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I can compare it to my tier 2 pace, and I know I'm still a bit off that, but I know also like Brazil's my best track, so if I had a shot, it would be here, even with little practice. And I was just basically, as you said, I was focused on just not spinning. I don't know if you caught it, but I did go off track once, almost spinning.
Yeah, I
Which
did see you
cost me-
losing a lot of time suddenly, and I was wondering what happened there. But
Yeah.
yeah, that does explain it,
Yeah.
and you did manage to stay in front, so worked
Yeah,
out in the
luckily.
end.
Yeah, it was really, really sweaty. Like more sweaty than any tier 2 race I did. It was so difficult not to make a mistake. Like every corner exit was okay. Careful, 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 careful.
Yeah,
Just not trying to spin.
We saw some spins as well. There were some drivers getting out of shape, and we saw a lot of wheel spinning as well, just out of the corner exits. So it was looking very difficult as well. And there was some really good action on track as well. I think you were battling with Flash River for a bit, and also with the other guys out in front. But
Tipsy also on track overtake.
yeah, Tipsy. I think Tipsy got a bit unlucky under the safety car, and then you managed to get past once he spun, I believe.
Yeah, he spun indeed. Yeah, that was the thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy with that because Flash River actually held Tipsy up near the end when I made that mistake. I think Tipsy had the same pace as me, so I was really happy he couldn't pass Flash River somehow. That delivered the win. But yeah, it was really I can compare. I did Suzuka and Tier 1, and this track was definitely harder to do without assist. At least for a guy who normally uses medium tracks, and this was insanely difficult. The middle sector is so tricky. It's really it was hard but nice and a good ending. So
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
happy.
Nice to hear that it was fun to drive as well. It was looking like a very fun race. Some really close action on track, which is something you don't always get. But yeah, very impressive from you to just jump into the car, turn off some assists, and take that victory. So good race from you. It was fun watching. And thank you for joining me for an interview.
Yeah, and thank you for doing the commentary all alone. So that's really really great. Without you and guys like you, we wouldn't be able to do this. So
yeah, it's almost a shame that you didn't crash, because we did say you were gonna just join me after you crashed.
Yeah. I was thinking about that, especially in qualifying when I was still like searching the limits. I spun twice actually. That was one. That one was when I was thinking, okay, well, if I end in the wall, I can still join Eversnacks and commentate. But it didn't happen. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the interview then.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay. I think we'll end the stream here. It was definitely a very fun race, some really close action on track, which is something, as I just said, we don't always get. There's not always such close battles, especially for the race lead, and just their hammer hanging on to to his 3-second lead at the end of the race. Some really close fighting further back as well. We saw Boosted Mess battling Shaka for about half of the race, and some safety car action as well. So quite a fitting way to end the season, I'd say. Very, very good season finale there, and yeah, that was indeed the last race here in Brazil. The last race for this for the no assist tier, but I'm sure we'll see some events happening. Maybe some other interesting no assist races. I know I'd like to join them, so maybe somebody else would as well. Anybody in chat right now, please do mention whether you want to do some events. I'm sure somebody will be able to do something about that. But other than that, thank you for joining me today, and I hope you had as much fun watching as I had commentating. And we do still tomorrow have the Tier 1 race, the Formula 2 race, and we also still have 2 SRL Tier 2 and 1 on Sunday. So be sure to join us again for some more season finales, and maybe see you in some events happening in the off-season. Thank you for watching today. This was Eversnacks in the no assists race, and goodbye!